Hey y'all, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new, welcome. In today's video, we are continuing the makeover in my son's bedroom. This is my 13-year-old's bedroom, so we are finishing painting the whole room, including the ceiling, and then we are putting all of the finishing touches on his room, so stay tuned till the end for the final reveal. So I am just coming in and doing all of the trimming in the different areas. My husband had actually started painting the walls and the ceilings while I was still working in my office. I didn't even know that he had gotten started. I hadn't really been feeling good this week, and so I had kind of just been putting off painting the rest of the room until I was feeling better, and my husband just was like, you know what, I'm going to knock it out. And then I went looking for him in the house, and I found him in the room, and the room was like halfway painted. And so I'm so thankful that he took the initiative to start painting the room, knowing that I wasn't really feeling well. So that is why I don't have footage of like the bulk of the walls and the ceiling being painted, but that is okay. He just wanted to keep this project moving forward. So again, so thankful for that. But I am just coming back in and doing all of the areas around the trim and the windows and the baseboards. I have a pretty steady hand, so he leaves all of the trim work for me, and I actually don't mind doing it. It is very relaxing to me to do all of that trim work. I just kind of zone out, and before you know it, it is done. So the color that we chose for the main walls is Bare Swiss Coffee. It is in that Scuff Defense finish in the eggshell sheen. So it is going to be super durable for a kid's room. Definitely wanted something with some protection in my son's room. You know, who knows what these kids do in here. They can get a little wild. And I had seen all sorts of different scuffs and dings on the wall before. So I just wanted that extra layer of protection. And this color, Swiss Coffee, it was absolutely the perfect color. I have been debating which color to use for quite some time and had those little paint samples. And I wanted to pick a color that I could use throughout the whole home. So I was, putting that color on the wall, like that little paint chip on the wall in different rooms at different times of the day and different lighting, just to see what it was going to look like in the rest of the house. I just wanted a color that was going to work in every room, in every time of the day. And the color that we had on the wall before, it was, the painter special. And so in some lighting, it looked really, really yellow. In some lighting, it even looked pink. And it was just feeling really dark in certain rooms, especially my son's room. there's just this one small window in there. And so it just could feel really, really dark and dreary in that room. And this color just turned out so perfect. It really brightened everything up. It's not quite white. It's a creamy kind of off-white. And I feel like this video doesn't even do it justice. You can really tell the difference. It makes the baseboards pop. And it stands out from the baseboards. It doesn't blend in too much, but it still has like this warm feeling to it. It doesn't feel super stark or cold. So definitely, if you're considering painting your walls, look at that as an option. I just think it works so beautiful in this room, and I'm so excited to try it out in different rooms. So the whole room did take 2 coats. I'm only showing painting the first coat because I think it would be quite boring just to watch the second coat go on. But you can really see the difference in between that darker paint that we had on the walls and this lighter paint. It's just so incredibly satisfying to watch back. But it did take 2 coats. I feel like the first coat did give pretty good coverage, but it was just such a stark difference in between that darker color and the lighter color. So you will need 2 coats. I think for this whole room, we used about 2.5 gallons of paint. So that was actually a lot more than I thought. But we have some leftover paint that we are going to start on my son's bathroom here in the next few weeks. I'm waiting for all of the items like the mirrors and different things like that to come in. So that bathroom transformation, hopefully I'll air sometime in February. Just need to get the energy back up to paint his bathroom. It was kind of like, once I got in painting all of this edges and around the trim, it was kind of like, oh, wow, this is a lot of trim. And then I'm looking at his bathroom going, oh my goodness, I'm going to spend a significant amount of time edging in all of the corners and all of the cuts. And it's such a tight space. So I really got to pump myself up to tackle that bathroom. But I know it's going to be such a huge transformation, all the things that we're doing in there. So definitely stay tuned for that. So we chose not to move all of the furniture out of the room. The only furniture that we moved out was his nightstand and his bed. Both were super light, but the dresser is super heavy. We didn't want to have to bother taking out all of the clothes and the drawers and moving that piece of furniture, and the desk was just too much to deal with. So we just kind of pushed them out a little bit and just got behind each of those, had them covered in a tarp just to protect everything. And it worked out. I did have to get into some awkward angles back behind there when I was doing all of the trim. Thankfully, I'm fairly flexible at this point in my life. I don't know if I were like 20 years older, I'd want to be on the floor crawling around like that. But it worked out. I was able to get in there fairly easily. And I know probably some people would take everything out and just have like this big wide open working space. It, did kind of cause some congestion when there was two people in there trying to work. But everything worked fine. It was fine. We didn't get paint anywhere on any of the furniture. So, this is definitely an interesting method. I'm not a professional. Don't follow me for painting advice at all. I'm kind of a messy painter. I get it done. I have some unique methods here, but that is okay. I'm definitely a true DIYer. So my husband is just doing some cable management here for all of the cords that are going to his monitor and keyboard and mouse and all of that good stuff. He is my tech guy, so I let him do all of that. And I am just starting to pick up the room, gather all of the supplies together, and just start tidying up so that we can get this room put back on this weekend. And then I am going to get started on putting all of the covers to the electrical outlets and light switches and all of those things. Is just all those little tedious things that seem like such a small task, and it's really kind of a time-consuming thing, but you have to get it done. I feel like at the end of this project, I just want to snap my fingers and everything's back, but this actually took 2 whole days to put the whole room back together. We were kind of messing with his whole setup for his computer monitor, and we were mounting that on the wall. So that took a significant amount of time, but I wanted to make sure everything was done right and that everything looked good. I really wanted this room totally finished. I am notorious for starting a project, really the both of us starting a project and getting like 95% done. And then there's that 5% still lingering for months. And so I didn't want to do that on this project. I wanted to make sure everything was completely done before we got him moved back into his room. So, of course, I needed my little supervisor here, Kevin, to help me with this project. He was a very, very curious dog and was stepping all over everything. But anywho, we are just working on getting the mount put on his computer screen because we are actually mounting it to the wall. Before, it was on like this little clamp thing, something that clamped onto his desk. And it is just a desk from Amazon. So it is not like the most sturdiest thing in the world. And so my son gets very animated when he's playing his video games. So the desk would move or shake, and then the whole computer screen would wobble. And it is kind of a pricier computer screen. It was my husband's old screen before he upgraded his for work. So he just kept it and gave it to my son. And so we wanted something a little bit more stable for him. So that is what we are working on. We are getting it mounted into the studs. and he is kind of showing me how to do all of this. This is, again, something completely outside of my comfort zone, using a drill and doing all the measuring and all of that. Like I think I said in the last video, I'm more of like an eyeball kind of person. I'm like, looks good, looks kind of even, and I just go with it. And my husband's like, absolutely not. You need to measure, remeasure, and maybe measure again. And so I have to say, learning how to use the drill and do all of this was not fun for me. I was getting really bored with it, and it was not holding my attention at all. I had fun using the saw in the last video, but this I was like, nope, I'm over it. But I stayed and I learned, and hopefully I retained some of that information and learning. And so we'll see on the next project if I can remember how to use the drill. Again, not my favorite. Did not like learning all of this. I was probably frustrating my husband because I was only half paying attention the whole time. But we got through it. We got it mounted into the studs and it looks great. I'm glad to know that it's not wobbling anymore and I don't have to worry about it. And my son is happy. He is over the moon. He absolutely loves his whole setup now. So we are finally putting all of the finishing touches on the room. I bought him some new curtains from Amazon and they came out so great. It's like a faux linen type of fabric and it just softened the room and it looked so great with the color of the wall. This is like my favorite part, is being able to put everything back together and work on all of the decor. That part is fun for me. And that is what I always look forward to at the end of the project. Sometimes I hate the middle part, doing all of the work and getting dirty and all of the cleanup. But it is definitely rewarding at the end to get to see the final reveal. So we are giving the carpet a good shampooing before we put the bed back. It had been a while since I had shampooed the whole room and I had only kind of done the little walkways. I hadn't done under the bed in a really, really long time. So again, I wanted this room done top to bottom. I didn't want to kind of do anything halfway. I really wanted it super, super clean before I put everything back. And so I had already gone over this carpet about 2 times with the solution. And so I am just going back, just rinsing it out. I just fill the tank with just really, really, really hot water to make sure I am pulling all of that soap and product out of it, making sure it's not sudsing up anymore. I typically like to rinse the carpets at least twice and then go back over just with the suction to make sure I'm extracting as much water as possible. I feel like because it was like really cold outside, it did take a little while longer than normal to dry, but the carpet came out so great. These are, 10-year-old carpets. So at some point I would love to replace them. But until then, we are just going to get it very clean as we can. So my husband and I are just working on hanging some shelves on the wall. We did get these shelves from Amazon, and while I like the overall aesthetic of them, they were not quite as deep as I had hoped to be. My son had a very specific purpose for these shelves. He wanted to store his Pokemon boxes on them, so they were not quite the depth that we were needing to store those boxes the way I had intended. So we kind of had to play around and turn the boxes different ways to get them to fit. And I know his interest is probably temporary. In another 2 years, he may not be into Pokemon cards. And so those shelves can be used for other things. So we made it work. I probably would not purchase these shelves again, just kind of how they were assembled. Like I would want one entire unit instead of like each thing where you hang the shelves on that metal piece. I wish it was attached to the actual shelves so we didn't have to do so much measuring and making sure everything was so exact. They were a little difficult to make sure that everything was level. And so I think on the last video, I said, we're getting along so great. We are doing such a good job. And this is probably the only point in this project where we were pretty grumpy with each other at this point. I just think we were over this entire project and we wanted it done. So we were not at our best whenever we were hanging these shelves. I'm sure many married couples and other partners can relate. Sometimes doing projects together, you want to rip each other's heads off, but it is okay. It is all good. The shelves are on the wall. They are not going anywhere, and everything turned out good with them. So I did have to steal this footage from another video, but this is the before, all the dark color on the walls. All the walls look the same. There's posters up on the wall that we ended up taking down. And then transformation here. Oh my goodness, it was just so rewarding walking into this room and seeing everything done. My son absolutely loves it. I just feel like it has turned into a room that he can really grow in, and so we can change things out later. But I feel like the color on the walls, it just is so calming and can work for all sorts of different things as he gets older and into his later teen years. But yeah, he really loved the transformation and he was so appreciative. I'm just very pleased with how everything turned out.